Hi, everyone, and welcome back to yet another episode of Literally My Life, the podcast. I am so happy to be back. I'm so happy to be talking to you guys. I'm trying to be very consistent with posting the podcast because at one point you guys were literally all that I had. But I'm very happy to be doing this from my bed. The reason I'm doing it in my bed today with no makeup on or really anything going on is, if you didn't know, the only reason you would know is if you didn't subscribe to my YouTube channel, so make sure to do that. A link is in the episode description, is because I went skiing this weekend and I vlogged the entire experience, so make sure to go subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's literally just titled Chicago Barbie, and I vlogged the entire experience there. It was my first time skiing. You guys know I'm not a Colorado native, so I'm trying to do Colorado stuff this year, and skiing was one of those things. It was really fun. It was a great experience, and so just go check that out. But I'm really happy to be back and be sitting here talking to you guys because 2026 is the revival of Literally My Life. At one point, you guys were all that I had. Literally all that I had. I didn't have the social media. I didn't have the platform that I have now. I didn't have the Alex Element. I didn't have anything. You know what I mean? All I had was the podcast. And I used to give it 110% and give it my all. And then once I started doing all the other projects that I've been doing, I kind of have been slacking with you guys. And so I apologize for that. Here I am. I want to give you guys a very honest, unedited, raw version of myself. Because even though my life has changed, I have not, and I've always been very transparent and very vulnerable and very honest with you guys, and that's what I want to continue to do. I'm happy to be here. I love you guys, and I want to thank everyone that listens to this podcast. Every time I go out now, people will tell me, oh my god, I love your podcast, I listen to your podcast, or whatever, on Thirsty Thursday or whatever, and I'm like, oh my god, thank you, because there used to be a time where I would literally send it out to my friends and be like, can you listen to this podcast I made? I don't know if I should publish it on Spotify. We've come so far. So, sorry for the little rant, but that's me. If you're new here, my name is Alex, and I rant about everything. That's why it's called Literally My Life, because it's just a podcast about my crazy life. But today I wanted to talk about how your fear of looking stupid is holding you back. And what you're thinking is right. I am definitely getting this from a SZA quote. Absolutely. So, because it's something that's been on my mind. So I have an outline on my phone. I'm going to be reading from the outline. I know you guys catch me doing that every time. I really don't have any shame in my game. I write my outlines a day before. I have to be more organized with that. So I don't have them memorized. Sorry, I'm not an actress. I'm a podcaster. But I just want to talk about that because if my fear of looking stupid had held me back, I wouldn't be talking to you guys. So it's not going to be the longest episode because I'm recording this by myself. Our producer is very busy this weekend. She wasn't able to help me film, so this is solo, dolo. I'm recording, editing, putting everything up, which I used to do back in the day. So this is an OG. This is for our OGs, okay? So, back in 2024, my junior year of high school, I decided to start a podcast, and I was terrified of it. I wasn't the most terrified of being made fun of or whatever. I knew people were going to make fun of me because I was in high school. That's what people do when you're in high school. I literally was kind of scared of it, but I wasn't the most scared about the podcast. I was more scared to start posting on social media. Once I became an actual influencer, even though I literally hate that word, I don't feel like an influencer. Is that bad to say? I don't feel like an influencer. I just feel like somebody who shares my life on camera. I don't get I don't expect any kind of perks of it. I don't expect any kinds of fame or anything. I've always found something so sentimental in taking photos and taking videos of your life. You know what I mean? One of my favorite albums is Bad Bunny's album, I Should Have Taken More Photos. I had to study that in my Latin American class in high school, absolutely obsessed with it, and it was just a story, the short film that we watched that was attached to his album. By the way, I can't wait for a Super Bowl performance. Was about a man reminiscing on the past and the gentrification of Puerto Rico, and he was like, man, I wish I had taken more photos before this thing had happened. So that's just kind of not the same story, obviously, but that's the thing that I have. I want to vlog this stuff. I want to take videos of me skiing. I want to show my kids in the future. I want to show people, I just want to document my life. I've always thought that was a beautiful thing because you're going to be gone one day, but the videos never will be, so that's something that stays in my heart for real. But anyway, sorry. When I started to post every day on social media, I was nervous I was going to be made fun of. I was actually very nervous to the point where it was like, at first Chicago Barbie was a secret account. None of my friends knew about it except for my best friend Sky, because she's a real one. And I was not going to tell anybody about it. I was just like, you know what, let me just make my videos for me or whatever, and I don't care. As I got more and more comfortable with it throughout the summer after junior year, senior year, and then college and stuff, I was like, okay, you know what, I can post it on IG Reels because I know everyone that I know is going to see this, and I don't care. I really don't care. But at first, my fear of looking stupid, my fear of being embarrassed, held me back. Like, I was literally, like, terrified. In high school, because this is how people are in high school, you know, people were just, like, really judgmental of the podcast thing. Actually, fun fact, one time, I had this friend in high school. She literally came up to me at my senior sunrise and was like, oh my God, I love the podcast. I should be on the podcast at one point. And I was like, sure, because this was around the time podcasting was really cool. We had, like, the cancel podcast was trending, and so people, like, were starting to find it cool that I had a podcast. And so she was like, I should be on the podcast. I was like, absolutely, cool. And then 3 weeks later, when school had started, her former best friend told me that she had said, when I had, like, the very first 2 or 3 weeks when the podcast had come out, she's like, wow, it's really sad that Alex has a podcast. Like, how bored do you have to be to just sit in your room and, like, talk to yourself? That's really pathetic. And then she asked me on my podcast 8 months later. So don't play. Don't play. So that's just one story, but we're going to get into it. But there were several, I would say, I'm going to put the mic down because I feel like it's being a little bass booted right now. There were several moments I realized I'm so glad that I got into this, even though I was so scared to be made fun of. Even when I started sports interviews, so like for you guys who are new here, a few months after starting Literally My Life, I started doing sports interviews for Illinois' top athletes, whatever. And my first interview, I was trolled on the internet insanely. I like OGs remember this one because it was really bad. I had gotten an interview with Illinois' top quarterback prospect, and I was really nervous, and I think like people online could pick that up, and a lot of people did, and there were just like some comments about it, nothing like too mean, but just like some crazy stuff. And I remember when I saw that, I was like, I'm never going to interview again. This is not cut out for me. I might not be a good interviewer. You know, it's just all kinds of stuff, right? It was just sadness. Just a lot of sad stuff going on there. But I continued to do it. Like 2 weeks later, I had set in my mind. Two weeks later, I had it set in my mind. I wanted to interview Talon Taylor, right? He goes to Georgia now, but he was from Geneva, Illinois. And I was like, I want to interview him so bad. This is going to be my redemption era. This is going to be the moment where I make my comeback, even though I was scared to look stupid again. And guess what I did? I showed up super prepared. I had all these questions for him, and it was amazing. And from then on, I continued to interview. And I'm so grateful that I did that. I'm so grateful that I did that. Even though I was scared to be made fun of, even though I knew people were going to have something negative to say, like, what does Alex know about sports? What does Alex know about podcasting? Who's interested in Alex or whatever? I put it all aside because I believed in myself. And I realized that this was my higher calling. And I could have literally rejected my purpose in life, the career that I want for myself, if I had let my fear of looking stupid hold me back. I'm not kidding. I don't even know what I would be doing because this is my purpose in life. I would have never, and I've said this a million times, I never would have guessed I would have been working in sports media, ever. As a little girl, I did not like sports. My dad used to turn on football games. I hated them. I didn't want to watch anything on ESPN. I was that person. As I got older, you know, I went to a basketball spirit high school. We were like the Cherry Creek of Chicago. Coloradoans will get that. So I got a little more interested in it, but I never really was like a sports person. I was always very nerdy. I was always like to myself, this was never supposed to be my calling. But I went on a limb, I experimented, and now look at me. Now look at my life. You know, I work in sports 24/7. Like, that's my life. I love football. Okay, so now let's talk about why fear is so powerful. Okay, social media, group chats, comparison culture, makes embarrassment feel permanent. And let me tell you something, embarrassment is not permanent. There were like literally, I can't tell you guys how many times I've been embarrassed. I cannot tell you. I cannot tell you how many times I've done stuff in real life and on the internet that I am not the most proud of. Can't even tell you. But it's not permanent. It's not. Like, okay, for example, when I do my makeup, I post it all the time. I make a lot of makeup tutorials and get ready with the and stuff because that's just something I like to do. Well, I have an orange tan foundation because I bought the wrong shade. But instead of, not getting my money's worth because I'm a baddie on a budget, I'm a broke college student, I got a really light concealer and I balanced it out and my makeup never looks orange. Trust me, I know balls so bad. Like, I would never be walking around with orange makeup in life. Like, ever. That would not be happening. But almost every time now that I post myself, and it's always on Reels. Reels is so negative. TikTok is so nice. But, like, people will be like, oh, you look so orange. Oh, my God, stop doing that. Oh, my God, you look so bad. Da-da-da. And I'm like, no. If this were coming from a helpful or a loving place, I would be open to receiving it. But I know it's not. I know that it's just, like, people just trying to poke fun at me, and I don't really care. People are going to look back and be like, oh my God, her makeup was so orange back in the day. Who cares? Why do you care? That's like the mindset I've had to adapt, because why do you care what I'm doing? Why do you care what I look like? Why do you care, what I'm saying or what I choose to do with my life? Why do you care? You don't have enough going on in your life that you care about what somebody else who's not affecting you in any way is doing with their free time? That's how I've had to adapt to it. It's like, if people really care the fact that I have a podcast that I don't talk about literally anybody on, I talk about it's literally my life. You know what I mean? It would be different if I had a gossip podcast or if I was, just sitting up here spreading lies about myself or my life or whatever. But I'm not. I'm being open, I'm being authentic, I'm being vulnerable, and I trust myself and I trust what I share on here and what I don't share. And if somebody has a problem with that, then that's their issue. It's not mine, because I'm not doing anything that affects anybody but myself. And that's how you have to look at things. And so if you want to do something, whether it's starting to post on social media, whatever it is, whether you want to pursue a new career, but you're scared of disappointing your family or whatever, you have to realize, this is my life. These are the choices that I'm going to make. I wasn't an adult when I started this podcast, but I'm one now. I'm 18. I'm an adult. These are the choices that I want to make for my life. And if I want to choose to be happy on social media and live my life authentically and out loud, then I'm going to choose to do that. Period, point blank. And there's this big myth that successful people are like fearless, and they're not. They're just willing to be seen trying. There are so many people that come up to me that say, oh my God, I wish I could post on social media. I've tried it. I'm not even kidding. I hear that so much. And I just tell them, why don't you just do it? Why don't you just do it? I think there's so many expectations with posting on social media. You don't want to look stupid. You don't want to look bad or whatever. But who cares? You're documenting your life. Your life. You're not documenting anybody else's. It's different if you're like running the shade room or whatever, but you're not. No hate to the shade room. I actually follow the shade room. But I'm just saying, you're documenting your own life. You're not affecting anybody. You're not hurting anyone. And that's why I just let go of my fears of looking stupid on here. So I sit on here every week. We have a producer. She's not here today. But before her, I used to just sit and talk to a camera by myself every week. What about it? Who cares? That's how I had to look at things. And being watched isn't being as judged as harshly as we think. And I didn't realize that until people became more and more receptive of my posts and stuff. And that kind of makes me sad. I wish I didn't have to have the public approval that I got, but it helped with me. But that's not a guarantee. You know what I mean? You may never get that. You have to find it within yourself. And I found it within myself. But a lot of the feedback that I get, 90% of it is very positive. Have people commented mean things before? Sure. Have people said mean things before? Sure. But I don't choose to focus on that, because literally 90% of it is super positive. I have so many people come up to me or comment or DM or literally anything, just my family members, friends, people that I've just met, just say I think you're fearless. I think this is amazing. I love what you post about, whatever. Just really nice stuff. And that stuff resonates with me. That stuff sticks with me. I think that's more important than any hate that I'm ever going to receive from anyone. So I don't think fear should be a powerful thing. We're young. You're going to make stupid mistakes when you're young. People are going to talk about you anyway. So why don't they talk about you doing what makes you happy? Now I really want to talk about the cost of playing it safe, okay? I never really got into that. I am pretty young, so I've never, like, turned down something because I want to play it, you know, like, settled for, like, a job or, like, something like that. I've never done anything like that. But I have seen a lot of people in my life who have delayed their dreams because they wanted to look ready or cool or polished, you know, instead of just doing what makes them happy. And I know that we live in a world, especially with, like, inflation, where you have to do stuff that makes you money. So trust me, if nobody gets it, I get it. Why do you think I talk to you guys every week? Well, actually, it's not for money. It's actually very therapeutic. If you need, like, a way to get stuff off of your chest, please start a podcast. It's so therapeutic. Like, I can't even tell you how raw and, like, vulnerable and, like, emotional I get on here sometimes. And it just helps me so much. Whenever I have an issue, I'm like, I'm about to talk about this on the pod. I used to say that all the time. I used to be like, I'm about to talk about this on the pod. This is my favorite episode of the pod. Like, I'm not even kidding. I'm hilarious. But, I get it. I get it. You don't want to pursue certain things because you have a fear of not making it. But that's why it's very important to pray. You have to pray and see what your calling is, because the calling that God has for you is more than likely different than the calling that you have for yourself. Like I've said a million times, did not think sports media was my calling, but God did. And I am so happy with where I ended up. It was 100% the right decision. But if you had asked me like 2 or 3 years ago what I wanted to do, I would have been like, oh, I want to be a criminal defense attorney, and I want to go to Yale, and I want to get my law degree at Yale, and whatever. I'm not even kidding. That was my dream 2 years ago. And look where I'm at now. See you, Boulder, doing sports. But God had a better plan for me. You know what I mean? Waiting for confidence kills momentum. Do not wait for confidence. Do not wait for approval. Do not wait for rejection. Find it within yourself. One of my favorite qualities about myself, not to toot my own horn, is how confident I am. You cannot tell me anything about myself. I'm very confident in myself because I know who I am. I know what I want for myself. I know who I am as a person. I know my character. I know what I would and would not do. And because of that, I love myself. Not because of how I look, not because of the things I've done for other people, not because of the things, but because of, like, the way that I know myself. You know what I mean? And so I'm very confident because of that. And I've let my confidence drive me into so many rooms. You know, when I started doing sports media, I had a lot of opportunities and internships that pure confidence and the grace of God got me into rooms that I probably did not deserve to be in. I was definitely underestimated. I was definitely underqualified. I definitely didn't have the most stacked resume or whatever, but I still got the internships. I still got the interviews. I still got the opportunities because of my confidence and because of the grace of God. Because if God is for you, who can be against you? I don't want to get too religious because I know I like to talk about God a lot in my podcast, and it's not supposed to be a religious podcast, but that's me. That's Bible. I was watching a video of Coach Prime, and it was the first team meeting. By the way, I love well-off media. But I was watching a video, and he was, like, quoting scripture, and he was like, that's just me. I'm always going to quote scripture. That's me. That's just how I am. I'm always going to have to quote it. It's just in my heart. God's literally my rock, my foundation, my best friend, my strength, my redeemer, my everything. So, sorry. But if God is for you, then who can be against you? I know God is for me, so I don't care about fear. I don't care about looking stupid. I don't care about anything because God is for me. So who could be against me? So let's talk about how to reframe embarrassment, okay? Embarrassment is proof of growth. It's very much proof of growth because you're doing things that is out of your comfort zone. One lesson I've learned coming into college is that you will not grow in your comfort zone. You will not do it. I was very uncomfortable moving to Colorado. I've shared this on here before. It was very hard for me at times to get adjusted because of, like, the diversity issues and moving away from my family and just all kinds of stuff. But I've grown so much. Was I embarrassed when I first moved here? Yes, I was the only person that looked like me. I was posting my entire life on social media to see, and I was embarrassed because I made several mistakes on there, and it was just scary, right? But I've grown so much. I'm not the same person that I was back in August when I moved here. And that makes me happy. I've grown. I've gotten closer with the Lord. I'm a more patient person. I'm a more determined and person, and I know that I can get through anything, because homesickness is not a joke. That was probably the hardest thing I've ever had to overcome. But I overcame it. I know that I cannot grow in my comfort zone anymore, so I have to do things that make me uncomfortable, like move 900 miles away, or try skiing for the first time, or start a podcast that maybe no one will listen to, and then maybe everyone will listen to. Who knows? And who even cares if no one listens to you, if everyone listens to you? Who even cares about that kind of stuff? It's for you. That's what you have to do, what makes you happy. When I first started doing this kind of stuff, I'm trying to remember, I don't think, I never was really low views, but I don't think a lot of people, I definitely had, lower episodes or whatever, and I used to get upset about that. I'd be like, oh my god, nobody wants to listen to me, maybe I should just crawl into a hole and die. But it's not about that. It's about what makes me happy, and this is what makes me happy, so I'm going to continue to do it. Most people, by the way, forget your cringe moments faster than you think. There are so many times, people will, do something. I've actually noticed this most in classroom settings. When you're in class and you're, trying to open a bag of chips or something, and it's, completely silent, and you're probably thinking, oh my god, this is the most embarrassing thing ever. And when I'm that person, I'm like, oh my god, I'm so embarrassed, this is so scary, this is so crazy, or whatever. People are going to remember it, and I'm going to be taunted over little stuff like that. Maybe I have anxiety, I know we do. But when other people do stuff like that, I don't care. I literally don't care. You're loud opening a bag of chips, whatever. Nobody thinks about, I wasn't thinking about it the entire class. I moved on about 10 seconds later. I heard it, I saw it, I didn't really care. I didn't really process it. Nobody really cares about your cringe moments. People are a lot more self-absorbed than you think. They are thinking a lot more about their cringe moments than thinking about yours, okay? They really do not care. And people who matter respect courage, not perfection. I've met so many people who are so far advanced in my career field, who have been working in sports for over 50, 60 years, not even, you know what I mean? And they will tell me that they respect me trying, they respect my courage. Even my mom, when I would try and get credentials to stuff that I would get denied to, I would be so discouraged, I would be so upset, and my mom would tell me, you know how much courage you have to do something like that? I never had to do anything like that, because you guys know my mom's a journalist, but my mom worked for CBS News for 10 years, so she never was a independent creator who was trying to get credentials and stuff. That's a very new thing. That's a very new concept. And she's like, you fight, you work hard. Even if you get told no, it only takes one yes. And my mom is who matters. Anybody else, I don't really care. Well, obviously I do care about other people, but you know what I mean. So, how to go far for your dreams anyway, in spite of your fear of looking stupid. First thing I want to say is do it scared, do it messy, do it publicly. I know it sounds crazy, but you just have to do it. Okay? When I first started doing this, I'm always going to use me as the best reference story, because it's literally my life. I didn't know anything about podcasting. I recorded our first episode on my phone and my voice memos with my headphones in. I didn't know anything about, I didn't even really do that much research, which is pretty bad, but I didn't know much about it, but I just did it. I did it messy, I did it without an outline, I did it without producers, without a deal, I did it by myself, and I'm so happy that I did it. I'm so happy that 2 years later, in a different state, living a completely different life, I still have you guys. You guys are the stability of my life, and I would have never had you guys had I not done it scared, had I not done it alone, had I not done it messy, had I not done it publicly. So just do it. Also, you need to detach your identity from the outcome of your situation. Had podcasting not worked, had this been a failure endeavor, like some previous endeavors that I've done, that doesn't mean that I'm a failure. Just because you try something and it doesn't work out doesn't mean that everything you do isn't going to work out, or that you're a failure or anything. That's just not how things work. Sometimes things don't work out. Sometimes things don't pan out to be the way that we want them to be. Like, I didn't get into Yale. That doesn't mean that I'm a failure because I didn't get into Yale, even though that was what I wanted for myself for years. It just means I didn't get into Yale. That's all that it means. And you need to replace the saying, what if I look stupid with what if this changes my life? I wish I had said that to myself, because this changed my life. Sports changed my life. Everything changed my life completely. Now I live a completely different life than I'd ever expected for myself, and I love the life that I live. So don't let anything or anyone hold you back. So before we go, I want to do our Ask Alex questions. If you're new here, we have a segment titled Ask Alex. It's a Google form that is linked in every episode description where you guys can ask me a few questions. I love giving you guys feedback and interacting with you guys in real time. So make sure to submit your questions for an episode, for a chance to be featured on an episode of Literally My Life. Okay, so first one. What's something you almost didn't do because you were scared of looking stupid, and what happened when you did it anyway? Really good and specific question. What's something I almost didn't do because I was scared of looking stupid? Social media. I always was like okay with doing the podcast. I was never okay with being like an influencer and like recording my like days of my life and makeup tutorials and my morning routines and whatever. I was like, no. Not gonna happen. I was so scared of looking stupid doing that for some reason. I was like, this is stupid, because I used to make fun of influencers. You guys know that? I used to think people who did that was kind of like shallow, but now look at me, right? But I'm so happy I did it because it changed my life. You know, I'm so happy that I got on social media or whatever, because I wouldn't be where I'm at. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing without my social media. So I'm glad that I do it, even though it was terrifying at first. When did you realize that embarrassment isn't actually dangerous, just uncomfortable? Really good question. These are really good questions. When I realized something was, that embarrassment isn't actually dangerous? Probably after the whole, like, my first sports interview. For sure. Because I was so embarrassed after that. Like, not in like, oh, I'm gonna crawl into a hole and die, but it was just like, why do I have to go through stuff like this? Like, this kind of stuff only happens for me. Like, why can't I just interview and move on with my life and have a good life? But I realized it's just embarrassment. It's not dangerous. It's just uncomfortable. It feels bad for a little bit, and then you just move on with life. Everyone else moves on with their life, and now nobody remembers that first interview. I moved 900 miles away to go to college, and nobody knows that happened until I just brought it up again. So it fades. It literally does fade away. How do you personally push through the moment where doubt is loud and confidence is quiet? God. Just God. A lot of times I will pray to God to be the strength that I don't have, to be what I can't be. And he always gets me through those moments. There was a moment I will share with you guys that I had to pitch myself for an opportunity. I was so nervous to do it. I was like literally praying before I went to the pitch, because it was in person. And I was so nervous. I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I was like, God, give me the words to say, help this go perfectly and smoothly and be the strength that I don't have. You know, do what I can't do. And that's literally that's what God did. There was a lot of doubt there. There was a lot of like fear of looking stupid. There was so much going on. And guess what? God got me through it. And the pitch went perfectly. And now there's so much more coming for Literally My Life. There's so much more coming for the whole Chicago Barbie thing, for social media. Like, there is so much coming because of that one pitch. So I can't really talk about it yet. I hate saying that. Oh my God. I hate saying that. But I don't like to talk about things before they happen. I just get superstitious like that. But I'm happy that I did it. And God was my strength during that. What would your life look like right now if you had let fear stop you every time? I have genuinely no idea. I would definitely not have a podcast. I would definitely not be an influencer. I definitely probably wouldn't go to Boulder. I definitely would not work in sports. I have no idea what my life would have been like. I probably would have continued to pursue law. And I have no idea where I would have gone to school. Maybe Syracuse or Spelman, because those were my top two choices, or USC. But I have no idea what my life would look like. I don't know. This girl, I have a really good friend. I love this girl. Her name is Isabel, and she goes to college with me. We were at a party the other night, and she said something so sweet to me. Now, I'm not saying it's true, because this was a very ego-boosting compliment, but really changed my life. She said, Alex, like, you have a life most girls would dream of. You have, like, everyone's dream life. Now, do I believe that's true? Probably not. But boosted my ego for sure. Very sweet compliment. Love her. And it's true. Like, in some ways, I have my dream life, and I didn't even know it was my dream life. And I do have a lot of people that look up to me now, and I just live a completely different life than I ever would have thought of. So if fear had stopped me, I wouldn't have the life that was meant for me. Last question. What advice would you give to someone who feels delusional for wanting more? Don't ever feel delusional for wanting more. Half the time, it's God telling you that you have a higher calling than what you've been called to do, or that what you are currently doing. And don't feel delusional. Feel chosen, because that's what you are. And pursue it. Be obedient. You got it, girl. Thank you guys so much for submitting these questions. Make sure to click the Ask Alex link in our episode description. It is completely anonymous. I'm not here to share all your business like that. I'm not like that. Okay? You guys can just talk to me. Before we close out, I want to give a little life update before we go. I just love to do these with you guys. I recently went skiing this weekend. That vlog is up now. I talked about that in the beginning of the episode, but I would love it if you guys went and watched it. It was very fun. I also am looking into doing a Literally My Life live episode, like doing this live at an auditorium at my university. I'm really scared to do that. I'm not announcing anything yet. I'm still working out the logistics, but I'm definitely looking into doing that, so I'm very, very excited. Also, on February 7th, me and 2 other Boulder influencers are going to be at the CU versus ASU basketball game at 7:30. Make sure to pull up, because we're doing on-court halftime challenges, and you guys know I'm gonna win. No, I'm kidding. Tatum is so athletic. Like, you guys know, Stevers won the race, but Tatum is so athletic, so we don't know. But we're doing a halftime challenge. We're going to be there that day, so please come and see me at the basketball game. I really want to see you guys. Let me know what you guys think about the Literally My Life live event. Also, I feel like I've really gotten my life together. Like, I'm at so much peace in my life. The only thing I'm going to work on is my attitude. I feel like I still kind of have a bad posture in my heart. I need to be a little kinder to people. We'll talk about that later on. But my life is going great. I live alone now. I think you guys all know that. My roommate moved out right before winter break because she found an apartment with her friends on the hill. So no bad blood there. I literally love her. I miss her so much. But now I just live alone in this big apartment, and I love it. I like living alone. I love my life. Am I homesick sometimes? Yes, but I'm really adjusting to my new life in Colorado. Okay, let's close out this episode. Enough about me, okay? I want to tell you guys that you have permission to be seen trying. It is not embarrassing. It is not weird. Do not let your fear of looking stupid hold you back from your higher calling. Please do not let that happen to you. If I had listened to myself every time that I thought I would look stupid, I would not be talking to you guys right now, and I would not be living the life that I was called to have. So don't let that happen to you. Please use my story as a testimony, okay? Encourage one small brave this week. One small brave action this week. Just do something small that you had never done. I already did it. I went skiing. I would have never done that. I have such a fear of sliding down a hill and dying. I don't know. I've been through a lot, but I did it. Try something new that you've never tried before. Get a new haircut. Try a new nail color, or maybe try something that you've been wanting to try for a long time. And I love you guys so much. The version of you that you want to be already tried. Remember that. I love you guys so much. Thank you for listening to yet another episode of Literally My Life. I'm so grateful to continue to do this podcast. I hope that we can do this live one day. So please let me know if you guys would be into that. I appreciate you guys dearly, and I will see you guys next week. Bye, honey.